Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to a brand new video here today, and welcome to the pre-season video for Season 3 of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Of course though, before we can continue on from this point and go through the rest of this pre-season on the run-up to this Australian Grand Prix, we have to actually go all the way back to December the 11th, just after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and make some crucial decisions for the team. And just like that, we're back to December the 11th, and we're met here with the contract renewal. Obviously, the contract period is up for Carlos Sainz, and we will be signing a brand new teammate. We've got some activities to go through before the end of the season, which we'll get to. We've also got confirmation there. Sebastian Vettel has now officially retired out of Formula 1 here in our career mode save bar. So the four-time world champion is no more available in the driver market. We won't be seeing him in the prancing horse. It'll be really interesting to see who Ferrari sign, but of course for us, we had a decision of our own to make between signing maybe the other man in red, Charles Leclerc, or Max Verstappen, and I gave you guys the vote of who we should go for, and so I can reveal now, you guys have voted in favour of signing Max Verstappen. So we're going to leave Leclerc at Ferrari. He's still probably going to be 100 rated. He's going to be a massive challenge to us in a different car next year, but alongside this, in the same piece of machinery, we're also going to have a very tough challenge, because Verstappen technically, base stats wise, is actually better than Leclerc in the game. Of course, we don't know how much he's rated when it comes to the actual races, because I don't know how good Red Bull's personnel levels are, but he didn't exactly have a cracking season at Red Bull. He had a lot of retirements, but you guys have voted for Verstappen, and to be fair, you can see stats wise, we are going to be signing the better driver of the two, albeit obviously we know how good Leclerc was, an absolute monster. But yeah, you guys have voted for Verstappen, so essentially the story kind of here is we're almost saving him from a very dire situation here at Red Bull, because he got so unlucky throughout the entirety of Season 2. He had 6 DNFs last season, which is the most out of any driver, I think, which is crazy to me, because I know drivers can get quite unlucky in the F1 game with DNFs. He got beaten by Ricciardo, which was surprising, obviously, because even though Ricciardo, yes, he's a great AI driver, Verstappen is the better out of the two here, and in real life, and we know in the game as well, he's a very, very quick driver. So essentially the story is he's gone fed up with Red Bull, and we're going to sign him, and we're going to kind of save him, and obviously our car has been very reliable. I think we only had one DNF looking at this chart, which was Sainz once early on at Hanoi, and that was because he crashed out, obviously, so that wasn't even a mechanical failure. I don't think we've had a single mechanical issue on the car that's retired Sainz, and obviously the player can't get any of those, but durability-wise, we've actually had a really decent season. We only had to take penalties once, which was tactical, of course, and Sainz has only had to do it once, I think, before, and that was early on in the season, so it really will be a much better environment for Verstappen to kind of flourish and so it will be a much better environment for Verstappen to kind of flourish and show what he's really made of, and hopefully myself and him can in tandem take the fight to Leclerc. Obviously the Mercedes guys will, you got to say, be there, but obviously they had a very quiet season actually in the second half, whereas Leclerc was obviously the one shining. Obviously the one caveat is, can we actually sign him? That's the thing. Will he accept the approach? And he has. We have actually met all his demands there. I was actually quite lucky, he wanted Spec 2 on personnel and marketing. He didn't even care about any of the actual performance parts of the cars, technically, when it came to driver demand. So, if we didn't upgrade the marketing earlier, in Season 1, I think it was, remember, we weren't able to sign him. So, that was obviously the thing in the back of my mind is, you guys can vote for who you wanted me to sign, but there was a slight chance we couldn't actually sign him if we didn't meet the demands. But we do on every account, cash-wise, obviously got plenty to sign him, team acclaim as well. So we go through now into the driver auction. We have to auction with Red Bull, because obviously they'll try and keep hold of him as much as they can. But obviously we've got a decent amount of cash, so we're going to go in with the large bids, and actually after leaving it one or two times to let Red Bull outbid me again, I just kept on clicking large bid to try and bid early, essentially, kind of scare them off a little bit, basically, and that actually worked out for us, because we got Verstappen for $13.65 million. His market value was 15, or just over 15 million. So we got him on the cheap. We just got him for just under like $2 million less, basically, 1.4 there. So really good stuff to go early, basically, with the high bid. So that's why I'd recommend to any of you guys, if you're in your own bidding wars with teammates in the future in career mode, definitely just go, if you've got the money, just go early with the large bids, because then you'll actually just kind of scare the team off, essentially, in a sense, I think, what happened. So there we are, on the right-hand side, Verstappen in our overalls. I'll say there are overalls for Season 2. There will be a new set coming for Season 3, which you'll see later on in this video, but nice to see him in the black and neon green, of course, of our colours. with our personnel upgrades, he's 97 rated, it would seem right now, but I think we can probably train him and get him even higher. So we're going to wait and hold off and see what kind of driver we do have in total. At the very end of the episode, we'll see with the extra training you get to do usually in pre-season and whatnot, if we can maybe go for that elusive 100 rated teammate, which would be insane and would, I think, match what I still probably think is what Leclerc is in that Ferrari team of his, of course. But anyway, that job is done and dusted. We've got a brand new teammate for Season 3. So now we go through the activity timeline and just finish off everything for the end of this season. We've got some actually training we can do immediately with Verstappen, with race simulations and simulator training there for 3 days and 2 days, respectively, and also 3 days of team building, which will cost us some money, but it will really boost the morale of every department, which is going to be great for us. Of course, we need to hit the ground running because, you know, I assume if nothing goes wrong, Leclerc and Ferrari, I don't know how the AI system works, if they lose form or momentum or whatever from season to season, but Leclerc had all the momentum in the world, so I suspect he might carry that forward. Depends on if Ferrari upgrade a lot or don't versus everyone else, because there's no regulation change, of course, but that means other teams may be upgrading over this winter period, so we may come to Australia with actually a different picture, even though there's no regulation change. It can still all change in terms of the pecking order, and of course the field spread was very, very close for us in Season 2 towards the end. You know, everyone was within, I think it was 200 or 300 performance index points, so that's very, very fine. Before we get towards the end of the season, we may as well spend some money already on HQ upgrades, because obviously, you know, we've got this time, and the HQs, if we upgrade right now, will just come in earlier for us. So I got you guys to vote on what areas of the HQ you guys want me to invest in. I gave you all the options and kind of said multiple choice, so I could get kind of an overall picture of where it seems like you want me to invest in first, but overall I think we'll invest in a lot of different areas. I can reveal right now the top number one investment place was the engine department. I'll reveal the full list to you a little bit later on once we actually get our full prize money for Season 3, but right now as it stands, I may as well purchase at least one upgrade. We're going to go for quality control on the engine side, because we don't really need to reduce build time desperately right now, in my opinion. Neither do we need more simultaneous developments. We just need quality control, because we've been rushing a lot of upgrades, and the rushing obviously is a great tactic, and so the less percentage of error we can get in that potentially overall for the team, the better. So going to go for quality control there. 12 million, so it's a lot of money, but obviously we're about to gain a lot of funds at the very end of this season. Before we get to that, finally, we're going to do a quick interview with Will Buxton and see what he has to ask us about our new teammate Verstappen going into Season 3, how we're looking.
Well, it's great to be back at your headquarters, and I've got to say, an awful lot's changed since we were last here. Let's dive in with some questions. Verstappen has made waves in Formula 1 ever since his debut in 2017. Will your team help him get some championships under his belt?
Now, this is an interesting question, because of course, yeah, it would be great to have Max, you know, the team winning stuff, but obviously I'm wanting to win the Drivers' Championship, especially into this next season, trying to get revenge on Leclerc for beating me by one measly point. But, you know, I've got to say, on the left-hand side, that answer is very kind of spot on. You know, Max has seen what we can do with our car, obviously being in such an unreliable Red Bull car. He's seen what we can do. The grass is greener over here for sure, and that's not just a, you know, an illusion. So I'm going to go with the left-hand side answer. Seemed the more fitting one out of the two for our situation here, really, but it's going to be a tricky one for sure.
We've not seen much in the way of development for your second driver. Do you feel that you don't need to, or do you feel that they've already reached their potential?
This was an odd question, because we literally just did some development with Max, with the training there, so I didn't really get what this question was about in terms of, like, it kind of didn't make sense to me, but we're going to the right-hand side answer. Obviously, the bottom one is locked, because we don't have that social media training. We might actually purchase some of those perks later on, but we'll go with the right answer there. We need to work on it.
Would it be safe to say that, in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team?
And then finally, this same question we get asked every single season about team orders, and I'm adamant again, you know, this season there are going to be no team orders. You know, Verstappen, if he's going to be quick, he's going to be quick, and that's just going to force me to push myself harder, to be quicker. Obviously, Leclerc did that a lot of the time, and I wasn't able to match him. He was just too quick for me. So, you know, this next season, we need a good car, but if Verstappen's right there, if he has the same performance as Leclerc did as a 100-rated driver, I'll be in danger. But, you know, there's no team order mechanics in the game, but also at the same time, I'm not going to try and purposely screw him over or anything like that. So, you know, it's just going to be fair game, just a straight fight, really. Kind of almost like what we had last year on F1 2019 with Lucas Weber.
It's been wonderful to spend some time with you. Best of luck out on track.
So now it's time to advance towards the end of this season, and we're going to finally get our prize money. I don't really agree with the system that we've had to, sign our teammate before we get the prize money. It makes kind of no sense. I wish they kind of did it like Motorsport Manager, where you get a kind of much larger period of pre-season to actually manage your money correctly and sign the drivers then, or even pick the dates of your driver contracts. That'd be kind of cool, but obviously, hopefully that'll be something that's improved upon on the next game. But here we are then. We've got a total of just over $70 million now going into Season 3. And we also finally get a confirmation with a graphic properly now that we are the Constructors Champions for Season 2, because we won the championship, but there's no cutscene for it, and there's no graphic until this point at the very end of the season do they show that little badge on the right-hand side. Of course, it's a bit of a shame and sad to see the left-hand side not filled in for a Drivers' Championship, but that will just have to wait, and hopefully in Season 3, with, new car, new upgrades, that will come. So we go into this brand new season, and we are met with a very, very interesting email here from Carl on an engine deal. Morning, Renault have approached us with an offer for next season. They're willing to pay us to use their power units as they see it as a big marketing boost to be seen powering the reigning Constructors Champions, and hope to also bring more success to the team into the future. If we go through with the deal, we could not only gain some more funds, but also a slightly more powerful engine. The downside will be losing some durability, but as usual, it's your call, boss. So we have got a very, very cool proposal to be paid by Renault. Much like when Honda came in, they were paying McLaren to use, for them to use Honda engines, essentially, to kind of sweeten the deal, essentially, because obviously they had to play catch-up. But I've talked about it before in the previous few episodes. The Renault Works team, they really improved. We saw Matsushita and Kvyat get into the top 10 quite consistently in qualifying a few times, and in the races, they got a little bit unlucky, but they were showing some good pace. McLaren, who are powered by Renault, of course, in this game, were looking very, very strong at times at the end of the season. So as a unit, the Renault power unit seems to have really improved. So honestly, I think it's a really good deal, and I think we should take it. We're going to gain some money as well, but at the same time, it's a bit of different. Season 3, new engine. Obviously, for me, I got beaten by Leclerc. We're looking for something to help us out. If I can't improve as a driver to take the fight to him, we're looking to improve the car in different areas, and one of those might be the engine, honestly. I know Honda, I almost feel kind of bad in terms of keeping loyal to them, because they're the ones we want our first Constructors Championship with, but let's mix it up. Let's go for the gamble. Let's go for Renault. It's an unknown. I don't know what the performance is going to be like, but I'd say we go for it. But before we get into choosing that selection, we have to choose also our main sponsor for the car. Now, I gave you guys a vote at the end of last episode about which one you guys want to go with, Fly Emirates, Canon, HSBC, or Rocket, and no shocker, you guys went for the one with just the biggest budget, to be fair. I thought potentially some of you guys might vote out in favor of, a sponsor you just prefer, maybe Canon. Obviously, that's been quite a famous one on the Williams car when they used to dominate the sport. But no, we're going for Fly Emirates. Very cool logo, to be fair. In red, which is going to really go quite nicely to complement the rest of the car, of course, and really give us a proper Brawn GP vibe, because they used to have obviously a lot of red sponsors towards the end of the season on the side pods and whatnot on the top of the chassis. So going for Fly Emirates there. So that'll be 5.2 million bonuses at the end of the season, of course. So we won't see that money till later down the line, but it's still going to be a decent amount of money to come, obviously, at the end of that season. But now we look at the engine supply, and it's a no-brainer. I'm actually really shocked here. I never really looked at the stats properly from seasons 1 to 2 because we just stuck with Honda. But legit, Renault actually are a better power unit. They're actually the best one we can choose. I don't know how this has happened. Mercedes, Ferrari are an 89, 94. Renault, we're apparently 86. Renault are 100. They're the best engine on the grid. No wonder the Renault Works team were looking so good, and McLaren at times, because they had the best engine on the grid. They improved so much through the end of last season that they are the best power unit, and durability wise apparently we're actually improving on the Honda power, even though despite Carl telling us that durability might be an issue, and we get that added on, no cost. We actually gain money because Renault want this deal to happen. They want a big advertisement board for their brand, of course, because we're the reigning champions. We're going for race wins, multiple podiums, and it's a great advertisement place to be, obviously, to be on the car, slap it up with all the Renault badges and whatnot. So it's a no-brainer for me. So we're going for this. We're going to go for the Renault Switch, Fly Emirates, stats as you guys voted for, and there you can see Max Verstappen 98 rated now with the training we've done, and we might go even higher with some more training later down the line. And so with that, we come back to where we started this video, 12th of March, in this pre-season period where we can now spend our money. We've got over $70 million to spend. Of course, probably would have been more, but we obviously signed Verstappen, used some funds there to get him, but it was worth it, of course. We've got a big old amount of time on the activity timeline to choose from activities. We're going to kind of wait a little bit. I want to see what we make in terms of investments, but we're definitely going to do the driver training camp for 5 days for sure. I think we'll try and slot that in actually after the car reveal, because I think the car reveal has 5 days then till this running Grand Prix, so I think that's actually the better place. So I'm actually going to remove that there from the top and just put that down below after the car reveal, but we'll do, I don't know, I guess we'll do potentially like a press tour for our driver, potentially to just get ourselves some acclaim maybe, because I don't want to do the 2 7-dayers at the bottom there, because they deter away from the morale of other departments, which is never great. But we're going to get onto now the actual spending of money on the HQ, So as you guys voted for then, as you can see on screen, engine came first, then you've got aerodynamics, personnel third, which I'm actually quite happy about, I agree, chassis, durability, and then marketing. So we've already invested one upgrade on the engine side. We'll probably do 2, I think, but we're going to kick things off with a quality control upgrade on the aerodynamics. Again, much like the engine, I think on every side of things, we don't actually need build time or thing like that. What we need is quality control to make sure we can rush through the upgrade. And also, to be fair, it just gives us some headroom later down the line. Like, let's say the R&D does get reset, and we know we can still make further upgrades to the fabrication and build time of all these, parts of the tree. But we're going to then go for personnel. Now, I'm not going to go for a simulator upgrade. I'm going to go for the fitness center and analyst suite, because the simulator is pure pace upgrade. Verstappen is 99 pace. He doesn't need any more pace. Like, we can train him every week and maybe give him +1 on pace, but he's already pretty much there or thereabouts. There's no point upgrading that, in my opinion. What we do need to upgrade is the fitness and the analyst suite, because that'll boost up his experience, which is still quite low relative to other drivers like Hamilton, and also then it will also improve his racecraft and awareness, which a lot of the time is the issue with AI teammates, is their awareness and racecraft to dodge incidents or get round people or make the moves. Pace is just a pure lap time, but we know obviously they get stuck behind other cars, so hopefully that will be a big booster for him. And with those upgrades and some further training, honestly, I think we can get Verstappen. We're then going to upgrade the chassis as well, quality control again, as I said. And as I mentioned before, we're going to do a second upgrade on the engine side, because that was the #1 place you wanted me to invest, so I thought it would only be fair to do 2 upgrades on that side of things, because otherwise we'll just spread ourselves thin. So let's focus in on the engine. Obviously, we've got a new supplier, so really good to have more investment in that area of the car and the HQ to kind of allow Renault to come in and do their business and, perform as best we can. And so now we've only got about 23 million to play around with. Not a lot to make any more major upgrades, but this is the point where I stopped looking at what you guys voted for, and I wanted to go for something that I personally want to upgrade, and I want to upgrade the marketing facilities, because, we're the reigning world champions. We need a bougie marketing suite. We can't have this Spec 2 business. Let's get to the Spec 3, spend 10 million on the activities management, so that will boost anything we do in the activity timeline in between races. So that'll be quite a positive thing for not only the team, but myself as a driver, for the acclaim we've got, Verstappen's acclaim as well, and also, just potentially any activity we have of like visiting, supplier tours or whatever. So we're going to get Spec 3 on the marketing suite, so that's going to be really awesome. Reigning world champions have the best marketing suite, as it is kind of in real life. The top teams have the biggest budget for marketing. We're now finally going to take a look at actually where we stand going into this season then. So this is what it looks like with no regulation change. Everyone actually upgrades their car over the winter, and Mercedes have got back ahead of us because we did not actually purchase any upgrades. That was, to be fair, I actually didn't mean to. I just kind of almost forgot about it, I'm not going to lie, but to be fair, we've not lost too much ground in Mercedes, and we can also now make upgrades now to catch them back up. It's only a tiny amount though. Red Bull do plateau as well. Ferrari improved, so if Ferrari didn't improve much at the end of last season, they plateaued for the last few races, so if they've got an even better car now, with Leclerc still 100 rated maybe, I dread to think what that's going to be like with that combination, but you've got all the other teams also improving, and as I said, the field spread is actually quite close together, especially after you get away from ourselves and Merck and Red Bull, to be fair. It's very, very closely packed, so it's going to be interesting, when people make mistakes, you're going to drop down the order quite a lot, and to be fair, even when we made mistakes, we did that a lot of the time in the last kind of half of Season 2, but as I said, we can now play some catch-up and upgrade before the season, so we've got the new engine, but the tree does not change. We've obviously got Spec 3 on the engine side, so we've unlocked some new upgrades. We're still pending the upgrades on the aero and chassis. So you can see that's why the question marks are there. We've still not got Spec 3 for those yet, but they will come in by the time we get to Australia. But we can already go to new upgrades for the engine side. So I thought, let's just go for it. We've lost some ground to Mercedes. They've actually got ahead by a decent amount. And let's just go for a pure engine power ultimate upgrade. If we rush the development, we could get it in time for Melbourne. So let's go for it. It's very risky, but we've risked it so many times in Season 2, and they all came through. So let's hope. The first upgrade with Renault, let's hope it comes through. So we're going to rush that development. I'm also going to go ahead and actually purchase a durability upgrades. I know, shocker, crazy, but electronics were wearing out so much, so quickly throughout the entire Season 2, even with the upgrades we already made on electronics. So I'm going to make a further upgrade on that and do the major second upgrade on that side of the tree. And then finally going to purchase a small, tiny, minor DRS upgrades on the aero, just to give us a little bit of help with the DRS open, in situations where we're in traffic, maybe getting past cars, and also in qualifying, it will help us as well, I hope. And then we'll just wait now for the upgrades and the HQs to come through, and then we can see what the next kind of path is, and where we need to take this car, especially after the first race. Once we actually drive it and see how it feels, then we'll kind of know where we stand, where we need to improve. But it's now time to advance through. Some of those upgrades start coming in for the personnel suite, but it's now time for that exciting time, guys. The car reveal, the brand new livery for Season 3. So there she is, and I am in love. I really love this new livery for Season 3. It's an evolution from our last one. We've swapped around some of the colours. You can see on the front wing now, it's the other way around. The black is on the top, and the neon green is on the bottom. The side pods, the entire engine cover arrangement's been changed, and it's way more detailed, a bit more artsy, very much more kind of me, but it's almost like a polished version of last season's livery. Nice evolution, obviously keeping on brand with the team colours that we've got from the get-go. You can see our new sponsor, Fly Emirates, on the side pod and also on the top of the chassis. We've got, obviously, Renault labelled everywhere, because obviously they're paying us to use their engines. They want the sponsorship. We've got Max Verstappen's personal sponsor, Car Next, on the side of the rear wing and on the barge boards, kind of where Sainz's personal sponsors were at the time. And you'll notice also the halos got a bit more colour. So from on board, I'm hoping this car will look pretty different, actually, to Season 2, which is obviously the important thing. You can kind of see the onboard for most of the time in the videos, but obviously I use a lot of replay cameras as well, so hopefully you can appreciate the kind of more detailed nature of this livery design. Some nice gradients from black to white here and there on the top of the chassis, at the back end. I really, really like it. Really, really do. And I hope you guys do as well. So that is our Season 3 Challenger revealed. We now advance ahead towards the Australian Grand Prix and see whether those rush upgrades will come in for the engine side. Unfortunately, ooh, let's not get carried away. That's not a bad omen, but it unfortunately does not come in. To be fair, an ultimate upgrade probably maybe was hoping a little bit too much there. We can't actually afford to rebuy it quite yet. We have to wait one more week set of resource points, but there we are. Now we can actually repurchase it on the R&D side. We did get the minor aerodynamics upgrade though, and that's enough to actually get us back on paper as the #1 team. Just that tiny upgrade. So forget about the ultimate engine power or the durability. That was what did it, the small tiny DRS upgrade. So we're going to go into the Australian Grand Prix as the best team on the grid, which is always what you love to see. Mercedes still second place then, through pre-season, looking at any of the teams moving about. It doesn't look like it, but along with the R&D upgrades, the HQ investments also came in, so we're now Spec 3 on nearly enough everything. The engine, aero, chassis, marketing, personnel, durability. I'm sorry, you're just going to have to firm it for a little bit. Maybe we'll upgrade you in the future when you guys vote on it later on in the season. But for now, that's where we're at. Really awesome to see those new vistas with our new car in it. The very high-tech compared to what we had even in Season 2. But back to Season 1, it's awesome to see the development over the kind of episodes we've had. 44 of them there. And we're now at this stage where it looks like a fully-fledged big F1. We are a big boy. We're a big F1 team now, running world champions this season. So the only thing left to do then for this pre-season video, guys, is to go through the driver market and to see what's happened, because we had a lot of driver transfers last season. You've got to remember, we got very lucky compared to a lot of you guys, compared to other YouTubers. We got a lot of driver transfers last season. We got 10 of them, I think, in total. It was a bit of a madness. So this season, I didn't think it was going to be as mad, and I was correct. It wasn't that crazy, but it's still interesting to look at nonetheless. Just before we get to that, though, look on the right-hand side. Max Verstappen is 100 rated with the training we've done and the personal upgrades. That is awesome. So we could, in theory, be battling 2 100 rated drivers this season for the championship. My teammate on the other side of the garage in the same piece of machinery, and then Leclerc in the Ferrari. And that's not even including Hamilton or Bottas, how they're going to do, how they upgrade the car, and what they're saying in terms of, you know, could we see a 100 rated Hamilton maybe, you know, reinvigorated for this third season? We'll have to see. We've also got the new overalls, plenty more sponsors now on the overalls. You know, like I said, big boy team, way more sponsors, and obviously prominent branding for Renault and Fly Emirates, and a bit of a difference there on the kind of bottom part of the overalls, matching the car, the kind of little graphics we got, the little shards breaking apart. Very nice. Again, like I said with the car, I almost feel like it's a bit more of a polished version of last year's overall design, so just kind of, you know, finishing off nice little final details. But like I said, then the final thing left to do in this video is to look through the driver market and see what has changed. So there is Verstappen for our team. You can see Alfa Romeo have kept on Giovinazzi and George Russell. The same for AlphaTauri with Gasly and Perez. To be fair, you know, Russell did really well in the Alfa Romeo at times early on this season. If you remember, he beat Hamilton even in the Alfa Romeo car. And in many occasions, Gasly and Perez looked really good in the AlphaTauri. Of course, very special day for Pierre Gasly today in real life, winning the Italian Grand Prix. So kind of nice to see him stay in AlphaTauri in that kind of sense and have that good feel vibe. Albon and Stroll kept on the Racing Point. I was surprised at Racing Point that they kept that on, because it didn't really work as a partnership, to be fair. They kind of floundered a little bit after early success. But this is the big change here. Vettel retired out of Formula 1, and Ferrari signed the F2 free agent Nick de Vries. So it's going to be de Vries alongside Leclerc in that Ferrari car. So very much a risk, I would say, from Ferrari. Leclerc, he's the reigning drivers champion into this season. So, you know, they obviously don't need to change him. We didn't take him away from Ferrari, but it is a bit of a risk in that second seat of theirs, because Vettel, although he wasn't matching Leclerc, he was still good enough to be a good rear gunner at times. So we'll see how that pans out for them. McLaren stay the same, as do Haas and Mercedes. No shock there with Norris and Ocon in a team. Hamilton, Bottas. But this is the really exciting one. I'm really happy to see Sainz went the other way and has been signed by Red Bull. So Ricciardo was signed by Red Bull in Season 2, and now Sainz is in Season 3. So over the course of 2 seasons, Red Bull have got back 2 of their drivers that used to be in their driver program or contracted. Obviously, Ricciardo used to actually drive for Red Bull, and Sainz was a Red Bull driver before he left in real life. But he's now back at the top team there. So Sainz and Ricciardo as a pairing, very fiery. Sainz is 86 rated now. Obviously, he was 96 with us at the end of the season. He was most of the season 94 or 91. So he's dropped down a little bit due to Red Bull's lack of personal upgrades, but we'll see how they progress. And then Renault stay the same with Kvyat and Matsushita. As I mentioned earlier, I was quite impressed by them at the end of last season, so let's see how they progress then. And Williams retained Latifi, and Jack Aiken, of course, was one of our first teammates in Formula 1 in Season 1. But that is the driver market, so not many changes. Only actually 2 of them, really, is Ferrari and Sainz and Verstappen swapping the way, which is a bit of a shame, but we did get very lucky with the changes we got in Season 2. But that's also a caveat of, you know, that's why I said in one of the improvement videos that codies need to change the coding. They need to make the transfers a little bit more active, because it is a video game. It doesn't need to be as realistic and as boring as it is in real life sometimes. They just need to kind of just make it a bit more lively, which is a bit of a shame. But obviously, we've already got... I'm actually really happy with this grid. Like, it's a really good set of drivers in different teams at different performances. So it's going to be another really close season, I think. And obviously, it's one that we want to hit the ground running and try and get revenge and go for that Drivers' Championship. But of course, defend our Constructors' Champions. We are the reigning champions, so they're all coming for us. They're all looking at us. And we've got a new star-spangled lineup of myself and Verstappen and Renault power on board now. So that is pre-season done for Season 3. The next video will be the start at the Australian Grand Prix. But guys, if you did enjoy this one and you're liking all the prep work for Season 3 and you're liking the look of it, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.